They tell you discipline is waking up early. They tell you it's about routines, checklists, and forcing yourself to do what you don't want to do. But the truth about discipline, the truth no one tells you, is that discipline is not about control. It's about liberation. Discipline is not the enemy of freedom. It is the gateway to it. It is the architect of greatness, the silent force that carves empires out of chaos and turns dreams into legacies. Without it, your potential will wither, lost in a maze of excuses and distractions. But with it, with discipline, you can bend reality itself to your will. Edison worked 10,000 failed experiments before lighting the world. Carnegie built an empire of steel with a single relentless vision. And every step they took, every decision they made, was rooted in a truth so few understand. Discipline is not a cage. It is a sword. It cuts away the trivial, the unnecessary, the distractions, leaving only what truly matters. It is not a chore, it is a choice. It is not suffering, it is salvation. You see, discipline begins in the mind. It does not start with an alarm clock or a planner. It starts with a decision, a moment when you declare to yourself and the universe that you will no longer live on the terms of mediocrity. The greatest battles are fought not on the field, but within. The war between your higher self and your excuses. The war between what you want now and what you want most. Discipline is the general of this internal army, marshaling your thoughts, aligning your focus, and leading you into victory. Napoleon Hill called it definiteness of purpose. Without purpose, discipline is directionless, a leaf blown by the winds of convenience. But when purpose is clear, discipline becomes unstoppable. Your mind sharpens like a blade, cutting through the fog of doubt and hesitation. Think of Lincoln drafting the Emancipation Proclamation in the face of unimaginable opposition. Imagine Rosa Parks, sitting in quiet defiance, knowing her discipline would ignite a movement. Their minds were unshakable because they were not serving themselves. They were serving something greater. And that is where discipline is born, in the clarity of what truly matters. Belief, the foundation of all action. Belief is the fuel of discipline. If you do not believe you can succeed, no amount of effort will sustain you. But belief is not something you wait for. It is something you create. Henry Ford said, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right." This is not mere optimism. It is a declaration of truth. Belief does not come from evidence. It creates it. It is the foundation upon which discipline stands, unshaken by the storms of failure. When Walt Disney was told no one would watch a full-length animated film, he didn't listen. When J.K. Rowling was rejected by 12 publishers, she didn't stop. Their belief was not fragile. It was forged in the fire of their vision. And that belief sustained their discipline through every obstacle, every setback. So ask yourself, what do you believe about yourself? What stories are you telling yourself about what you can and cannot do? Because the discipline to act will always follow the belief that it matters. Clarity is power. Without it, discipline is scattered and aimless, a sprint in the dark that leads nowhere. But with clarity, discipline becomes a guided missile, precise and unstoppable. Look at the life of Steve Jobs. His obsession with simplicity was not just a design philosophy. It was clarity made manifest. He disciplined himself to say no to everything that did not align with his vision. And because of that, Apple became a symbol of innovation and excellence. Clarity demands honesty. It requires you to strip away the noise, the distractions, the endless to-do lists, and ask yourself what is truly important. What moves the needle in your life, your career, your relationships? What are you doing that is essential? And what are you doing that is merely urgent? Without clarity, discipline becomes exhausting, a grind that leads to burnout. But with clarity, every action becomes meaningful, every step a piece of a greater puzzle. Clarity is not just knowing what to do, it is knowing why you are doing it. Vision, the engine of discipline. Vision is the ability to see beyond what is to imagine what could be. It is the bridge between belief and action, the picture of the future that pulls you forward when the present feels unbearable. Think of Martin Luther King Jr., standing on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, declaring, "I have a dream." That dream was not just a hope, it was a vision so vivid, so real in his mind, that it inspired millions to march, to protest, to endure hardship in pursuit of justice. Discipline without vision is drudgery. It is waking up early without a reason, working late without a purpose. But when your vision is clear, discipline becomes joy. It becomes the privilege of working towards something extraordinary, something that makes the struggle worthwhile. Close your eyes and see it. Not the life you have, but the life you want. Not the person you are, but the person you are becoming. Feel it, breathe it, taste it. Because the clearer your vision, the stronger your discipline will be. Purpose is what gives discipline its soul. It is the why behind the how, the fire that keeps burning when everything else fades. Andrew Carnegie, who rose from poverty to become the richest man of his time, said, "The man who acquires the ability to take full possession of his own mind may take possession of anything else to which he is justly entitled." But he didn't just acquire wealth. He gave it away, funding libraries, universities, and foundations. His discipline was not driven by greed. It was fueled by a purpose larger than himself. What is your purpose? Not your goals, not your dreams, but the deeper reason behind them. What legacy do you want to leave? What difference do you want to make? When your purpose is clear, discipline becomes natural. It becomes a part of who you are, not something you force yourself to do. Discipline is action. It is not thought, not intention, not planning. It is movement. The greatest ideas in the world are worthless without action. The most powerful visions are lifeless without the will to execute. Thomas Edison said, "Vision without execution is hallucination." He knew that the brilliance of an idea meant nothing unless it was brought into reality, step by deliberate step. And here's the truth. No one tells you. The disciplined life is not a glamorous one. It is not filled with instant rewards or applause. It is built in the quiet moments when no one is watching. Action is messy. It is imperfect. It is filled with false starts and failures. But discipline teaches you to show up anyway, to take the next step even when the path is uncertain, to work on your craft even when the progress is invisible. This is the forge where greatness is born, not in the light of recognition, but in the shadows of relentless effort. Michael Jordan did not become the greatest basketball player of all time by talent alone. He became great because he practiced more than anyone else. When others rested, he worked. When others doubted, he pushed harder. His discipline was not just a habit, it was his identity. And that is what separates the average from the exceptional. Not what they do when they feel motivated, but what they do when they don't. Gratitude is the antidote to burnout. It is what keeps discipline alive when the grind feels endless and the results seem distant. Gratitude is not weakness, it is strength. It is the ability to find joy in the process, to see the value in the struggle. Consider Helen Keller, who overcame the darkness of blindness and the silence of deafness to inspire millions with her words and actions. Her life was a testament to gratitude, not for what she lacked, but for what she had. She once said, "Although the world is full of suffering, it is also full of the overcoming of it." That overcoming comes from a heart that refuses to dwell on what is missing and instead celebrates what is present. Gratitude does not diminish your ambition, it fuels it. It reminds you why you started. It keeps you grounded when the climb becomes steep. Take a moment right now and reflect on what you have. The opportunity to grow, the freedom to choose, the privilege of this journey. When you anchor yourself in gratitude, discipline becomes less of a burden and more of a gift. Here is another truth about discipline. No one tells you. It is not rigid. It is not inflexible or unyielding. True discipline is adaptable. It bends without breaking, pivots without losing its purpose. Look at the life of Charles Darwin, whose theory of evolution reshaped our understanding of life itself. He observed that the most successful species were not the strongest or the fastest, but the most adaptable. The same is true for your discipline. It must evolve to meet the challenges of the moment, to navigate the unexpected detours on your path. Adaptability is not abandoning your goals. It is finding new ways to achieve them. When Walt Disney faced bankruptcy, he didn't quit. He reinvented. When Steve Jobs was fired from the company he founded, he didn't stop. He created something even greater. Their discipline was not blind adherence to a single plan. It was an unwavering commitment to their vision no matter the obstacles. So be flexible. When life throws you a curveball, adjust your stance but stay in the game. When a door closes, look for a window or build one. Discipline is not about rigidity. It is about resilience. Resilience is the heart of discipline. It is the ability to keep going when every fiber of your being wants to quit. It is not just about enduring pain. It is about transforming it into power. Think of Oprah Winfrey, who overcame poverty, abuse, and rejection to become one of the most influential figures in the world. Her resilience was not born from luck. It was a disciplined refusal to let her circumstances define her. She once said, "Turn your wounds into wisdom," and that wisdom fueled her discipline, allowing her to rise above every challenge. Resilience is not something you are born with. It is something you build. Every time you face adversity and choose to persevere, you strengthen your resilience. Every failure you endure, every setback you overcome adds another layer to your character. It is in these moments of struggle that discipline is tested, refined, and made unbreakable. Remember, this: failure is not the opposite of success. It is a part of it. Every great achievement is built on a foundation of failed attempts and lessons learned. Resilience is what turns those failures into stepping stones, and discipline is what keeps you moving forward. Discipline thrives on learning. The more you grow, the more capable you become, and the more effective your discipline becomes. But learning is not passive. It is an act of will, a discipline in itself. Think of Benjamin Franklin, who taught himself to read, write, and master subjects ranging from politics to science. His insatiable curiosity and disciplined study transformed him from a poor apprentice into one of the most influential figures in history. He understood that knowledge is not static. It is a tool that sharpens with use. Learning requires humility, the recognition that you do not know everything, and the willingness to seek wisdom from every experience, every failure, every mentor. Discipline without learning is stagnation, but discipline fueled by a hunger for growth is unstoppable. Seek out knowledge relentlessly. Read books, listen to those who have walked the path before you, and never stop asking questions. The moment you stop learning is the moment your discipline begins to decay. But when you commit to growth, discipline becomes a force of endless renewal, constantly evolving as you do. Perseverance is the quiet companion of discipline. It does not shout. It does not demand recognition. It simply endures. Perseverance is what bridges the gap between effort and reward, between the seed you plant and the fruit you harvest. Think of Colonel Sanders, who was rejected over 1,000 times before someone finally agreed to try his fried chicken recipe. Or of Van Gogh, who sold only one painting in his lifetime, yet kept creating works that would one day redefine art. These individuals did not persevere because success was guaranteed. They persevered because they believed the process itself was worth it. This is the truth about discipline no one tells you. The rewards do not always come quickly. Sometimes they do not come at all in the way you expect. But perseverance teaches you that the act of striving, of committing to something larger than yourself, is its own reward. The person you become through the process is far more valuable than any accolade or recognition. And here's the paradox. Those who persevere without fixating on immediate outcomes often achieve the greatest results because they are not chasing validation, they are chasing mastery. They are chasing growth. They are chasing their purpose. Raw effort is not enough. Discipline without refinement is like a river with no banks, powerful but unfocused. True discipline requires you to pause, to reflect, and to adjust. It is not just about working hard. It is about working smart. Consider the Wright brothers, who spent years experimenting with flight. Each failure taught them something new. Each setback was an opportunity to refine their approach. They did not view obstacles as roadblocks. They saw them as teachers, and because of that disciplined refinement, they achieved what was once thought impossible. They took to the skies. Refinement demands that you ask hard questions. What is working? What is not? Where am I wasting energy? Where can I focus more effectively? Discipline without self-awareness becomes robotic, but discipline with reflection becomes artistry. You must be willing to evolve, to pivot, to abandon methods that no longer serve you, even if they once did. This is not weakness. It is strength. The ability to refine your efforts ensures that every action moves you closer to your goal, not just in quantity, but in quality. Discipline is not about monumental effort. It is about consistent effort. The small daily actions that seem insignificant in the moment, but compound into greatness over time. This is the power no one tells you about. The discipline to show up every day, even when it feels like nothing is happening. Think of a stone cutter hammering away at a rock for 99 strikes. The rock shows no sign of breaking, but on the 100th strike, it splits in two. Was it that final strike that did it? No, it was the accumulation of all the strikes before it. This is the essence of consistency. Look at the lives of the greatest achievers. They were not always the smartest, the fastest, or the most talented, but they were consistent. They wrote every day, practiced every day, built every day. Over time, their efforts compounded into mastery, and their mastery compounded into success. Discipline does not require you to be extraordinary every day. It requires you to be consistent every day, to show up, to put in the work, to trust the process, because success is not built in a day, it is built every day. Here's a hard truth. Discipline demands sacrifice. You cannot have everything. Every choice you make requires giving something up. But the question is not what you lose. The question is what you gain. Look at the life of Serena Williams. To become one of the greatest athletes of all time, she sacrificed countless hours of leisure, endured grueling training sessions, and made decisions most people would find unbearable. But her sacrifices were not losses. They were investments. Sacrifice is the price you pay for greatness. It is giving up what is good for what is great. It is choosing the pain of growth over the comfort of stagnation. And here's the secret. When your discipline is aligned with your purpose, those sacrifices no longer feel like losses. They feel like steps towards something extraordinary. Ask yourself, what are you willing to let go of to become the person you were meant to be? Because discipline without sacrifice is an illusion. It is the willingness to trade short-term pleasure for long-term fulfillment that sets the disciplined apart from the distracted. And so we return to where we began. Discipline is not a cage. It is the key to freedom. It is not about restriction. It is about choice. It is the force that liberates you from the prison of excuses, from the tyranny of fear, from the chains of mediocrity. When you embrace discipline, you take control of your life. You stop being a victim of circumstances and start becoming the architect of your destiny. You realize that every action you take, every decision you make is a brushstroke on the canvas of your legacy. Think of Mandela, who endured 27 years of imprisonment yet emerged unbroken, disciplined in his vision of a free and united South Africa. Think of every great leader, every innovator, every dreamer who refused to let the world dictate their limits. Their discipline was not a burden, it was their superpower. And now the choice is yours. Will you let life happen to you, or will you take command? Will you drift through days, or will you seize them? Will you settle for average, or will you strive for greatness? Discipline is the truth no one tells you, because it is the truth. Few are willing to live, but if you are willing, if you are truly willing, it will transform you. It will turn your dreams into plans, your plans into actions, and your actions into a life you never thought possible. Discipline is not the end. It is the beginning. And once you embrace it, you will realize that nothing, absolutely nothing, is out of reach. Discipline is not just something you do, it is something you are. It becomes the foundation of your identity, the anchor that holds you steady in the storms of doubt and distraction. Without discipline, identity is fragile, built on shifting sands. But with it, you become unshakable. Look at Abraham Lincoln, a man who rose from the humblest beginnings to lead a nation through its darkest hour. His life was defined by discipline, not just in his work, but in his character. He disciplined himself to remain humble in success and resolute in failure. He once said, "I will prepare, and someday my chance will come." And when that chance came, he was ready. Discipline shapes your identity not by what you achieve, but by who you become in the process. It teaches you patience in the face of frustration, courage in the face of fear, and integrity in the face of temptation. Over time, these traits solidify, creating a version of you that can withstand anything life throws your way. When you practice discipline, you are not just building habits, you are building yourself. Every decision, every sacrifice, every moment of perseverance is a brick in the structure of who you are. And when the foundation of your identity is built on discipline, nothing can tear it down. Here is a truth most people never discover. Discipline is not drudgery. It is joy. It is the quiet, steady satisfaction that comes from knowing you are living in alignment with your values, your goals, and your purpose. The world tells you that freedom is the absence of restraint, that happiness comes from indulgence. But look deeper. True freedom is not doing whatever you want. It is doing what you were meant to do. True happiness is not the fleeting pleasure of indulgence. It is the lasting fulfillment of discipline. Think of a musician who spends years mastering their craft, their fingers calloused from endless practice. In the moment they play, there is joy, not because the work was easy, but because it was worth it. Think of a writer who spends countless sleepless nights refining their words, only to see those words inspire thousands. That joy is not the absence of effort, it is the reward of it. The disciplined life is a joyful life because it is a meaningful life. It is a life where every action has purpose, where every effort has direction. When you embrace discipline, you are not depriving yourself. You are empowering yourself to experience a deeper, richer, more fulfilling existence. Most people limit their dreams not because they lack ambition, but because they lack discipline. They are afraid to dream big because they doubt their ability to follow through. But here's the secret. Discipline is what makes big dreams possible. Henry Ford dreamed of a world where every family could own a car. He didn't just dream it, he disciplined himself to make it a reality. He revolutionized manufacturing, created the assembly line, and built an empire. His dream was audacious, but his discipline was relentless. Your dreams are the blueprint, but discipline is the builder. Without discipline, dreams remain castles in the air. With discipline, they become skyscrapers touching the clouds. The size of your dream should not scare you. The only question that matters is this: are you willing to do the work? Dare to dream bigger. Dare to imagine a life that surpasses your wildest expectations. And then discipline yourself to take the steps necessary to bring that dream to life. The only limits are the ones you place on yourself, and discipline is the key to breaking through them. Failure is inevitable. Even the most disciplined among us stumble, fall, and lose their way. But discipline is not about never failing. It is about having the courage to begin again. Think of J.K. Rowling, rejected by dozens of publishers before her Harry Potter series became a global phenomenon. Or of Howard Schultz, turned down hundreds of times before Starbucks became a household name. They faced failure after failure, but they never stopped starting over. Their discipline was not in their perfection. It was in their persistence. Every time you fail, you are given a choice: to quit or to begin again. Discipline gives you the strength to choose the latter. It reminds you that failure is not final, that every setback is a setup for a comeback. The disciplined mind sees failure not as the end, but as a necessary step on the journey to success. Starting over is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of strength. It is the disciplined soul saying, "I will not be defined by this moment. I will rise, and I will try again." And every time you rise, you become stronger, more resilient, more unstoppable. Discipline is not just about achieving your goals. It is about contributing to something greater than yourself. The highest form of discipline is the commitment to leave the world better than you found it. Think of Andrew Carnegie, who used his wealth to build libraries and fund education, believing that his discipline in business came with a responsibility to give back. Or of Malala Yousafzai, who risked everything to fight for the education of girls worldwide. Their discipline was not just for personal gain. It was for the betterment of others. Your discipline is your gift to the world. When you pursue your purpose with unwavering dedication, you inspire others to do the same. When you achieve your dreams, you create opportunities for those around you. Discipline is not just about what you accomplish. It is about the legacy you leave behind. Ask yourself, what impact do I want to have? How can my discipline serve not just my life, but the lives of others? When you align your discipline with contribution, you elevate it to its highest potential. You turn your life into a force for good, a ripple that spreads far beyond what you can see. And now the final truth about discipline: it is not something you master once. It is something you practice every day. It is a lifelong journey, a constant commitment to growth, to purpose, to excellence. Discipline is not easy. It is not glamorous, but it is worth it. It is the foundation of every great achievement, the backbone of every inspiring story, the secret behind every life well lived. It is the path to freedom, to fulfillment, to greatness. And it is yours to choose, right here, right now. The question is not whether you are capable of discipline. The question is whether you are willing to claim it, to own it, to live it. Because once you do, there are no limits, no dreams too big, no goals too distant, No challenge is too great. Discipline is not the end of the road. It is the beginning of a journey that will transform not just what you achieve, but who you become. So choose discipline. Choose the life you were meant to live. The world is waiting for you, and you are ready. Life will test you. It will bring moments of despair so profound, moments so dark that the path forward seems invisible. In those moments, discipline becomes your light. It is the beacon that cuts through the fog of doubt, the torch that guides you when every other source of motivation fades. Consider Thomas Edison. When his laboratory burned to the ground in 1914, taking years of research with it, he didn't succumb to despair. Instead, he famously said, "Thank goodness all our mistakes were burned up. Now we can start fresh." That mindset is the essence of discipline, not dwelling on what is lost, but focusing on what can be rebuilt. Discipline is the resilience to keep moving, one step at a time, even when the full journey ahead feels overwhelming. It is not about ignoring the pain or denying the difficulty. It is about choosing to act in spite of them. When the world is dark, discipline illuminates the next step, and then the next, and the next. In the darkest moments, discipline will remind you of the light you carry within. It will whisper, "This is not the end. Keep going." And as you do, you will find that the darkness begins to lift, revealing the path forward. Gratitude is often seen as a passive emotion, something you feel when good things come your way. But gratitude, when paired with discipline, becomes a powerful force for transformation. It shifts your focus from what you lack to what you have, from what you fear to what you can achieve. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, practiced disciplined gratitude. He trained himself to find something to appreciate in every situation, no matter how challenging. This practice did not make him complacent. It made him invincible. He wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love." Gratitude and discipline are intertwined because both require intention. It takes discipline to pause and recognize the blessings in your life, to resist the pull of negativity and self-pity. And gratitude fuels discipline by reminding you why you started, why you strive, and what truly matters. When you are disciplined in your gratitude, you see obstacles as opportunities, failures as lessons, and progress as a gift. You stop chasing happiness and start cultivating it, one deliberate act at a time. And in doing so, you unlock a level of fulfillment that transcends circumstance. Discipline is not a destination, it is a journey. And that journey has no end. The moment you think you've reached your peak, discipline reveals new heights to climb, new skills to master, new depths to explore. Look at athletes like Michael Jordan, who even at the height of his career continued to practice as if he were still proving himself. Or artists like Pablo Picasso, who continued to innovate and evolve until the very end of his life. These individuals understood that mastery is not a static achievement. It is a dynamic process. Discipline keeps you humble. It reminds you that there is always more to learn, more to achieve, more to become. It protects you from the complacency that comes with success, urging you to keep pushing the boundaries of what is possible. This infinite nature of growth is not a burden. It is a gift. It means that no matter how far you've come, there is always another mountain to climb, another dream to chase, another version of yourself waiting to be discovered. Discipline is the compass that guides you on this endless journey of self-actualization. The world often celebrates talent, but the truth is, talent alone is never enough. It is discipline that turns potential into performance, dreams into achievements, and visions into reality. Discipline is the great equalizer, the force that levels the playing field. Consider Michael Phelps, the most decorated Olympian in history. His natural ability was undeniable, but it was his discipline that set him apart. While others rested, he trained. While others doubted, he believed. He once said, "You can't put a limit on anything. The more you dream, the farther you get." Discipline transcends talent because it is not dependent on what you are born with. It is dependent on what you are willing to work for. It is the effort you put in when no one is watching, the sacrifices you make when no one understands, the persistence you show when no one believes. This is the truth most people avoid because it places the responsibility squarely on their shoulders. But for those who embrace it, discipline becomes a source of empowerment. It means that your success is not determined by chance or circumstance. It is determined by you. Your life is your message. Every choice you make, every action you take, leaves a mark. Discipline ensures that the mark you leave is one of purpose, one of impact, one that inspires others to strive for greatness. Think of Mahatma Gandhi, whose disciplined commitment to nonviolence and justice changed the course of history, or of Rosa Parks, whose simple, disciplined act of resistance ignited a movement. These individuals were not extraordinary because of their circumstances. They were extraordinary because of their discipline. What will your legacy be? Will it be one of excuses or one of action? Will it be defined by the things you avoided or by the challenges you overcame? Discipline gives you the power to shape your legacy, to ensure that your life is not just lived but remembered. The world does not need more people who coast through life. It needs people who commit to it, people who show up, people who persevere, people who discipline themselves to make a difference. That is the legacy discipline leaves behind, a world forever changed for the better. So now the question remains, what will you do? Will you let this moment pass, or will you claim it? Will you shrink back into comfort, or will you step forward into growth? The choice is yours, but know this: discipline does not wait. It demands action. Start today. Start now. Take the first step, no matter how small. Show up for yourself, even when it feels like no one else will. Build the habits. Make the sacrifices. Embrace the process. Discipline is not about being perfect. It is about being persistent. Because in the end, the truth about discipline is this: it is not a destination, but a way of life. And when you live it fully, you unlock the extraordinary power within you, the power to create, to overcome, to inspire, and to achieve. So rise. The world is waiting for your greatness, and it begins with the discipline to begin. The world often speaks of freedom as the absence of restraint, as if true liberty comes from casting off all obligations and responsibilities. But here is a truth that few dare to confront: freedom without discipline is chaos. It is discipline that allows you to claim your freedom, not as an escape, but as a state of mastery. Imagine an artist who desires to paint a masterpiece, but lacks the discipline to learn their craft. They are free to hold the brush, yet they are enslaved by their own limitations. Contrast this with a disciplined artist who spends years mastering technique, practicing daily, and refining their vision. They too are free, but their freedom is full, expansive, creative. Discipline has unlocked their ability to express without limitation. This principle extends to every area of life. Financial freedom comes not from indulgence, but from the discipline of managing your resources wisely. Physical freedom comes not from neglecting your body, but from the discipline of caring for it. Emotional freedom comes not from ignoring your feelings, but from the discipline of understanding and guiding them. Discipline does not restrict freedom, it creates it. It removes the chains of impulsivity, procrastination, and doubt, allowing you to move through life with clarity and confidence. Discipline gives you the freedom to pursue your highest potential, unencumbered by the distractions that would otherwise hold you back. One of the greatest challenges of discipline is not in doing the work, but in forgiving yourself when you falter. Because no matter how disciplined you are, you will stumble. You will make mistakes. You will have days when you fall short of your own expectations. But here is the key. Discipline is not about being flawless. It is about being faithful. Faithful to the process, to the vision, to the belief that every setback is an opportunity to begin again. Think of Nelson Mandela, who endured 27 years of imprisonment yet emerged without bitterness, ready to lead and unite. Forgiveness was his discipline, and through it, he found the strength to rebuild a nation. Forgiving yourself requires the same discipline. It is an act of grace, a recognition that failure is not a reflection of your worth, but a part of your growth. When you forgive yourself, you free yourself. You release the guilt and shame that would otherwise weigh you down, and you allow yourself to move forward with renewed determination. Discipline is not just about holding yourself accountable, it is also about holding yourself with compassion. In a world that craves instant gratification, patience is a radical act of discipline. It is the willingness to wait, to endure, to trust in the process, even when the results are not immediate. Consider the story of the bamboo tree. For years, it shows no visible growth above ground. But beneath the surface, its roots are spreading, deepening, preparing for the moment when it will shoot skyward. And then, seemingly overnight, the bamboo grows 90 feet in 6 weeks. Its growth was never sudden. It was the result of disciplined patience. The same is true for your dreams. Success rarely comes quickly or easily. It requires patience, the discipline to keep working, to keep believing, even when progress feels invisible. Every small effort, every quiet sacrifice is a root growing deeper, preparing you for the moment when you will rise. Patience is not passive. It is active faith in the process, a choice to persist even when the rewards are delayed. And when you embrace the discipline of patience, you discover a strength that cannot be shaken by time or circumstance. Discipline is not built in grand gestures. It is forged in the small daily choices that define your life. It is the decision to rise early when your bed calls you to stay. It is the choice to invest in yourself when distractions beckon. It is the commitment to move forward one step at a time, no matter how small the step. Think of the life of Benjamin Franklin, who famously created a list of 13 virtues he sought to embody. Each day he disciplined himself to focus on one virtue, tracking his progress and reflecting on his growth. This simple daily practice became the foundation of his extraordinary life. Your daily choices are the seeds of your future. Every act of discipline, no matter how small, plants a seed that will one day bear fruit, and every act of neglect leaves a barren patch where potential once thrived. The beauty of discipline is that it compounds. Each choice builds on the last, creating a momentum that carries you forward. Do not underestimate the power of a single disciplined act, a single workout, a single hour of focused work, a single decision to say no to a distraction. These are the building blocks of greatness, and when you string them together day after day, you create a life that is unstoppable. Leadership begins with self-discipline. Before you can lead others, you must first lead yourself. This is the hardest form of leadership because it requires you to confront your own weaknesses, to hold yourself accountable, to demand more of yourself than anyone else ever could. Think of Theodore Roosevelt, who as a sickly child disciplined himself to build his body and his mind, transforming into a force of nature that inspired a nation. His leadership was born from his self-discipline, his refusal to let circumstances define him. To lead yourself is to take full ownership of your life. It is to stop blaming others, to stop making excuses, and to start taking action. It is to set a standard for yourself and to rise to meet it, day after day. When you lead yourself with discipline, you inspire others to do the same. Leadership is not about position, it is about influence. And the greatest influence you can have begins with your own example. When you live a disciplined life, you show others what is possible. You become a light, a guide, a catalyst for change.
Yeah.
In the end, discipline is more than a skill. It is a spirit. It is the unbreakable resolve to keep going no matter what. It is the fire that burns within you, the force that drives you to rise, to fight, to overcome. Discipline is not reserved for the extraordinary. It is the tool that makes the extraordinary possible. It is within you, waiting to be claimed, waiting to be lived. The question is not whether you are capable of discipline. The question is whether you are willing to commit to it. The world will test you. Life will challenge you. But with discipline, you are unstoppable. You are the storm that cannot be silenced, the mountain that cannot be moved, the force that will not be denied. So rise and claim the life you were meant to live. Choose discipline and choose greatness, because the truth about discipline is simple. It is the key to everything you have ever dreamed of, and it is yours for the taking.